Welcome to another Out of the Park 24 video. This is a one-off episode. You can see we are in January of 2024 with the Baltimore Orioles. What I did was on August 30th, I did a live start, simulated to the end of the season unemployed, and then on the day the offseason started, I took over the Baltimore Orioles and navigated the offseason. I will say this was not like a super mapped out offseason like I would normally do in the long-term sims. I was just kind of like messing around while half paying attention to The Sopranos, which my wife is watching right now. I've never seen. I think it's recognized as one of the better shows ever. It seems good, but I'm not invested in watching the whole thing. But it did have some of my attention during this, and I was like, at one point I was like, oh shoot, I got rid of too many right-handed bats, etc. Or oh shoot, I don't have a shortstop. So it was kind of like a off-the-cuff off-season here, and the first thing I want to address. And I don't want to be that guy. I'm not being that guy. But just like where the Orioles prospects are ranked compared to real life, like Jackson Holliday, this ceiling seems kind of low for him compared to what he's doing this year. The game actually demoted him back to high A. He's going to be a monster in next year's game, I'd imagine. Perhaps they don't update the ratings in live starts for prospects. I don't know, but yeah. Because this might have made sense before the year started. Some other things I thought were kind of weird. Kobe Mayo, I think, is pretty fairly rated here. I did bump his arm up just because his arm's absurd. But yeah, his arm was like a 55 or something. Wasn't enough for me, so I bumped it up. It surprised me how low Colton Cowser is. This is a guy who is a top 100 prospect all over the place. I think MLB Pipeline still has him as the number 14 prospect in baseball. He did poorly in a little cup of coffee with the O's in real life this year, but I think this rating on him way down here in the system is low. Same with Joey Ortiz, another top 100 prospect who's also generally considered as a glove first guy who can play shortstop in the majors. So I was a little surprised that at his range being so low. I do think if he comes up to the majors, he might have a better defensive reputation than this shows. Again, I'm not, Out of the Park isn't going to get every micro rating right on every player in the minor leagues. Like I'm just reacting to this as an O's fan, and I'm not saying like Out of the Park underrates my team's prospects. This is just some things that are different from the game that I'm pointing out compared to how they're regarded in real life. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and I'm not going to remember which prospect outlet it was that was talking to an O's podcast called On the Verge, where basically the guest said that he thought Joey Ortiz would be an upgrade at shortstop right now for like 5 to 10 major league teams, which is really something. I mean, the guy's killing the ball in in AAA this year. He's a top 100 prospect, and he's like a glove first guy who they think can stick at shortstop long term. So I actually traded him in this and then got it back in the Rule 5 because the AI is funny. There was one other guy who was down kind of low. Oh, Jordan Westberg, who's actually up with the O's right now, and he's another guy who's been a top 50 prospect for at least like the last year or two. I think this defense is fair. Like he's a bat first type of guy. I think probably grades out a little better than this in terms of prospect ratings in real life. Like if you looked at his FanGraph tools or something. But those were just some things that I noticed as an O's fan. I was like, come on. Show the best system in baseball a little more love than this. Heston Kjerstad, is he even like... Kjerstad is also like a top 30 prospect in most rankings now, and he's not even here. He's not even ranked here. So that's also a little strange. But again, I would assume that Out of the Park probably doesn't update prospects in the live start. I think players, like real players, like their ratings might change as the season goes on, like when you do live start. I think I've seen that. But, Kjerstad before the year was coming off not playing a lot of baseball since he'd been drafted, but has kind of reestablished himself as like a top 30, top 40 prospect in baseball. So here's my man Enrique Bradfield Jr., though, with his 70 outfield range, coming for Cedric Mullins' job in a few years if he can get that bat together. So what did I do? Let's look at that. So I brought in Dylan Cease and Blake Snell to be at the top of our rotation. So Dylan Cease we got from the White Sox. This is future real-life Orioles legend Dylan Cease, who hopefully they'll trade for this offseason. So we traded Austin Hayes, since we have a whole lot of cheaper outfield players coming, like Cowser and Kerstad and Mayo can play the outfield too. So we traded Hayes since he's arbitration eligible, making 5.5. God, that back button forever. We traded Joey Ortiz, who we already talked about. We traded Hudson Haskin, who is a decent outfield prospect for the O's in real life. I think he's in AAA right now, maybe for the O's. He's not like a top prospect, but I think in other systems he'd get more attention. And then they wanted us to throw in Nick Davis for some reason. We got Dylan Cease, and he will be our number one starter. Blake Snell in the game signed a 2-year extension with the Padres for $36 million, which he'll get way more than that coming off the season he's having in real life. But we traded for him. We traded Jorge Mateo and his 65 range self. Mateo's a really good defender. His bat this year for the O's has just been terrible in real life after a hot April, and I don't think he will be back with the O's next year because despite what the game says, like Henderson, Ortiz, and Holiday, I think the O's in real life see as like potential shortstops. In this game, none of them are because none of them even have 65 range, but I doubt Mateo will be back with the O's next year. So we traded Mateo. He'll go there. Mountcastle, who has just been rocking and rolling for the O's recently, like the last month since he got back from Vertigo. I think he's probably played his way back into the team's plans in real life. I'm not sure what they'll do with him because he's kind of had been like average for like 2 years and then not very good this year, and now he's been like one of the better hitters in baseball since he got healthy. So we'll see what the O's do with him in real life. But I shipped him for Blake Snell. And Osorio, who was just like a throw-in. So this was like a something where the Padres did it where it wasn't like a rebuild move. Mateo's like their backup utility infielder. Mountcastle is their starting first baseman, I think, hitting towards the middle of their lineup. They also signed Cody Bellinger, too. So I don't see the Padres doing this trade in real life for sure. I think it would cost a lot more prospect capital. Well, we got him. We also got... Where'd he go? Clay Holmes as a specialist now? That's weird. We got Clay Holmes from the Yankees. So for some reason, we had gotten Jared Kelenic on the first day of the offseason before I took control. Shoot, I keep doing that. I'm sorry. We traded Kelenic and Brian Baker, who's a reliever for the O's in AAA, for Holmes and two like kind of okay dudes, prospect guys. And then we also got Penn Murphy in that deal with Kelenic. And then we claimed Sean Dubin in the Rule 5 draft. So Grayson, for some reason, is in the bullpen here, but it looks like our rotation would be Cease, Snell, Means, Bradish, who real-life Bradish, number 2 starter. He's firmly establishing himself this year as like a top half of the rotation starter. Spoiler alert. And Tyler Wells, who pitched well for the O's in real life early in the year and then just ran out of gas. So let's take a look at the lineups now. Okay, so onto the hitters side. Before I dig into that too much, I just want to say, if you're able, there's a link in the description of this video for the Patreon page for this channel. It's like $5 a month. I post there every so often just like thoughts about the game, but mainly it's a way to like support the channel, like if I need a new microphone or something with my laptop, or if I just want to thank my wife for letting me spend so much time on this game by buying her tacos one night. It helps with those kind of things. So buy my wife tacos and maybe help me get like a new microphone when I need one. You can join just for like 1 month and just do like $5 and then quit, or you can do ongoing. But if you're able, I would appreciate your consideration in joining. Anyways, on to the hitters. It's in the description of this video, the link to the Patreon. I can't remember if I said that. So on to the hitters. So Rutschman, of course, back. Did I sign him long term? No, I didn't yet. O'Hearn is back as the first baseman, lefty bat. He's been really good for the O's as a lefty platoon bat, being on the strong side of the platoon in real life. So Mountcastle is gone. So we got Cowser, who's also a lefty. Like I said, and Urias is back, I guess, could play some first base as a righty. What do they have versus lefties? Oh, yeah, they switched Renfroe in, which we'll get to that acquisition in a minute. And Urias DHs. Interesting. Okay. So, one thing I didn't like, I had too many left-handed hitters and I didn't have a shortstop because, like I said, I didn't really like map this video out. I was just kind of like playing for fun. Joey Ortiz, who we traded to Chicago and then claimed in the Rule 5 draft, I wouldn't have actually claimed him if this was like a long-term sim. That's a little cheesy, but he's back, and he's our second baseman. Like I said earlier, I think this range is a little low compared to like what a lot of prospect evaluators think on Ortiz. Pretty strong defensive shortstop seems to be the book on him coming up through the system. Gunnar Henderson is here. I did sign him to a long-term deal, 10 years, $150 million. It's going to take more than that in real life, I think. I think maybe like that first deal that like Julio got before like the option extension part later in the deal, maybe could be like a Gunner comp. I think it was like 12 years, $210 million or something. I think that's probably more. What it would take to get Gunner, if Gunner's even willing to do it as a Boris guy. So like I said, I traded Mateo and then was like, oh shoot, I don't have any 70-plus range guys or even a 65-plus range guys. So I signed Nick Ahmed to a 1-year, $3.8 million deal. Kyle Stowers will be our left field replacement for Austin Hayes. Not great range out there, but a possibly really good bat. Kyle Stowers is a guy who in real life he didn't do too well in his cup of coffee he got this season, but he's mashing in AAA right now. Possibly a guy the real life owes move this offseason, but he's back for me. Mullins is back. I think I signed him to an extension. I did. 4 years, $52 million. Yeah, I don't think Cedric Mullins is signing that in real life, but we've got him back. He's our center fielder. And Enrique Bradfield will probably come up in the second half of this deal and hopefully start pushing Cedric for playing time, but he's here. Cedric is here for a while. Santander is back as a switch hitting force in our lineup, and I have not signed him to an extension. I think he's a free agent after this year. I don't know if it'll depend on the young players if we try to go after him for a longer deal. Renfroe was my I need a righty power outfield bats because I traded too many righty guys move, and I sent him to a 1-year, $7 million deal. I think those were really the only moves that I made. Then, guys like Westberg, Cowser, McKenna, Urias, they would all kind of fight for the backup roles, like the bench roles on this team. If I were like managing out the season, I think what I'm going to do is just like take this, like manage it up until opening day, and then like take the reins off and quit the job and let the computer do it and see just like what the 2024 season, just for fun, see what the season happens. So I'll cut here. We'll go up to opening day, recap anything that happens. I don't know if I'm going to make any other moves, and then simulate out the season. I don't think Ohtani has signed anywhere yet. He is not. He doesn't even have a suitor? Like, what? Are you okay? What? Yeah, like normally if guys have suitors. So also, like, I feel like obviously this contract is this contract estimate is way low. So let me do something here. One of you had commented in the video, it was a good thought, like, because Out of the Park doesn't really handle two-way players that well with their value on the market, just bumping up his greed. Where is that again? Is that personality on this side? Yeah, greed. Greed is 3. Yeah, so let's bump his greed up to 200 and just see what kind of deal he gets then. So his demand only went up to 26 million, so it didn't make a huge difference. Let's see if we skip forward today. I think that all that update is already there. Yeah, still nothing. But there were a couple of big moves. I mentioned a couple of them. Urias went to the Mets for 4 years, 82. Peterson back to the Dodgers, 5 years, 80. JD Martinez to the Angels. Alex Wood to the Angels. They're giving it another go here. Max Muncy to the Yankees for 3 years. Whit Merrifield, a 4-year, $41 million deal to the White Sox. Okay. Ian Happ to the Mets. Matt Chapman, 7-year deal to the Mets. Wowzers. Okay. 4-year deal for Soler in Detroit. That has disaster written all over it. Bellinger, 7 years, $154 million deal to the Padres. I actually think like maybe this is like $22 million range on a 7-year deal seems like a decent bet for Bellinger this offseason. That's just off the top of my head. I don't really know, but if you think of like a guy like Brandon Nimmo or something, I think had a deal for in this range. Am I way off on that? With the Mets, and I feel like Bellinger with his bounce back this season is going to have a lot of suitors. Tim Anderson back to the White Sox, 5 years, $61 million. Nothing else really big. Joe Ross to Atlanta for 3 years, $27 million. So we'll see Oh, out of the park legend Jalen Beeks here, doing things for the A's. So we'll see where Ohtani goes to, but we'll go ahead and skip up to opening day here and see if anything else happens. Okay, so we're opening day, April 4th, 2024. No big changes here. Rutschman, O'Hearn, Ortiz, Henderson, Ahmed, Stowers, Mullins, Santander, Renfroe. We do on the lefties. O'Hearn comes out, Westberg comes in, and then Stowers comes out. Renfroe goes into left instead of DH, and Urias DHs. So doing some platoon stuff here like the real Orioles do. And pitching side of things, we did sign Kyle Hendricks to a 1-year, $2 million deal. I think, a little bit of a flyer. He was just kind of out there during spring training, and I said, hey, depth always helps. C. Snell means Bradish, the 4 in front of him. Sean Dubin, who we claimed in the Rule 5, is our closer apparently. Rodriguez and Hall just going to come in as setup guys and throw gas. Cano, Coulomb, Perez, all guys who have been pretty solid for the real-life O's, are here in middle relief. Fuji in long relief, and Clay Holmes, a specialist. I hope he gets innings. So who didn't make it on the pitching side, probably most interesting. Let me see. Oh, they're here. So Wells didn't make the team. Kramer didn't make the team. Murphy didn't make the team. We have a couple guys that we had to DFA. Jacob Webb, Ben Boom, and McKenna, those 3 guys, we had to DFA because they were out of options and they just weren't going to make the team. Around the league, we are only predicted to win 83 games. Our pitching is supposed to be really good. It looks like our hitting is going to be weak, which is interesting because I think our lineup should be decent. Gunnar is here in the top hitters, no top pitchers. You might see Cleveland acquired Juan Soto in the offseason. So they've got 1 year of Juan Soto. To bring him in, they gave up. Is his last name Rocio? So young infield dude, as well as they got one other prospect for this 1 year of Soto. Jose Devers, who hit really well in A-ball last year. He's now in the Padres system. So what does that do? So the Padres brought in Bellinger. What did they do? So Kim, Bogarts, Bellinger's in center. Tatis, Manny. Oh, Brayan is their DH. Then they've got Mountcastle and Ben Gamel is their left fielder. They traded Soto, and they're going to trot out Ben Gamel. Okay. And they have Font and Wells in the bottom end of their rotation. Bullpen still looks solid. How's their system? 13th. Oh, Ethan Salas is in A-ball. Wow, he's got a long way to go. There's Brayan. And I don't think Devers is up here. No, not the Devers they traded for, different Devers. So that was interesting. And then I did think about signing Shohei Ohtani because he was down, just no one signed him. And he was down to late spring training, I think, like a 1 year, $14 million deal. And the Pirates were the front runners. And I was like, I'm not jumping in, even though I can afford him. I want the Pirates to sign Shohei Ohtani. Unfortunately, the Brewers did. Or, I guess fortunately if you're a Brewers fan. He's apparently going to be their number 4 starter as well as their number 3 hitter and DH on a 1 year, $13.9 million deal to Milwaukee. So that's a lot of fun. That's pretty funny. Those were the 2 things. So from there, I'm gonna quit the job. I'm gonna simulate the season, and we're gonna see what my Orioles do here. They're gonna trade away so many prospects. They're gonna make so many bad trades. All right, let's see how they do though. Well, folks, we did not make the postseason. We went 88-74. We tied with the Tigers, but they went 4-2 against us in the season, so they made the postseason. What a bummer. We lost. So we went into the final day of the season in a 3-way tie for the last wild card spot with the Rays and the Tigers. We lost 2 in a row to the Rays. Oh, that is not the right box score. We're looking at Red Sox box scores. Saturday, September 30th. We did play. No, we didn't. Wow, those box scores are just jacked up. Huh. I had not noticed that. That's weird. I wonder what was the actual game. Oh, this is last year's because Flaherty is here. Yeah, and Mountcastle's here. So weird. It's showing the 2023 box score here in 2024. That's so strange. Anyways, so we lost 2 in a row to the Rays to choke away the 1-game lead we had established over them after winning 2 in a row. Is this one last year too? Yeah, oh, that's sad. So we don't make the postseason. Man, we were like a decent team. I mean, this offense was like top 5 in a lot of categories, 5th in the runs scored. We were 6th in runs against. Our starters ERA was 10th, bullpen 3rd. Defense was really good. Zone rating was 1st. Our hitting was great. Kobe Mayo came up for like the second half of the season, was a monster. Stowers was awesome. Gunnar Henderson, 7.2 WAR. Cowser played a little over half the season, was a monster. Adley was great. Santander was great. Mullins had a good year. I mean, lots of good stuff here. I mean, you don't want 550 plate appearances to Walls and 544 to Ahmed. That's tough, especially Walls, because he wasn't even good defensively. Like Jordan Westberg should have been getting those at-bats, but he didn't. Pitching side of things, Cease had a decent year. Too many starts from Bradish and his 6.23 ERA. What was his FIP? 5.25. Sierra was 4.04. Bernovich was starting because of injuries. Kyle Hendricks ended up making 14 starts, 26 appearances for us. Grayson ended up pitching just 66 innings. Holmes, Bautista came back at the end of the year, but we had John Means and Blake Snell out long term. And yeah, that's just kind of how it went for us. Expanding standings wise, we were 2 above our Pythagoreans. Our run differential was a respectable plus 52. The funny thing is the Tigers were plus 12, negative 43 run differential. They were 29 and 15 in 1-run games, which actually I expected them to be something way absurdly better than that. But that's pretty good. We're 22 and 16. We were both 6 and 6 in extra inning games. So, yeah, Juan Soto did lead the Guardians to the postseason with 8.5 WAR. On the Ohtani front, the Brewers were bad, 76 wins. He was great as a hitter with 5.1 WAR, bad as a pitcher with 0.3 WAR, 1.2 WAR. Yeah, so he'll hit the free agent market again, and man, he's like worth it just as a DH at this point, or a. So what's his outfield ratings look like? Oh, he could be a really good corner outfielder with that arm. Put him out in right field. I mean, he led the league in slugging percentage, so he'll be out there again as a free agent unless the Brewers re-sign him. But yeah, that's how things end for these Orioles. A lot to look forward to on the hitting front with Mayo, Stowers, Henderson, Cowser, Rutschman all around, Mullins still around. You know, they need to just give the second base job to Westberg. Joey Ortiz did go back to the White Sox, but yeah, that's how it ends for the Orioles. Are we going to do the postseason? No, we're not. This was an Orioles sim. The Orioles season is over, so this video is over. So I would like to say thanks for watching. I will talk to you guys next time. Yeah, bye.